Welcome, healthy friends, to the Reality of Health podcast. Today we're going to talk about reasons that you might not know that can lower your testosterone. Nobody likes that, women or men. I'm assuming you already know how good testosterone is for you. So in this episode, this is going to cover things that you never really think about that can actually lower it. I first want to say that the Maasai tribe, they're in Africa, they consume meat. That means basically anything from an animal. They consume raw milk, blood, and fermented foods. They have 25% more muscle mass than any of the other tribes, perfect jawline, perfect teeth, totally white. They don't get sick. You have to ask yourself why. I would say that's because they don't consume foods that lower testosterone. They get lots of sunlight, lots of fresh air, absolutely no EMF fields. They're connected to the earth pretty much 100% of their life, unless they're standing on an animal skin or something. They get clean air and low stress. They have lots of community and support and love between everybody in their tribe. They are not exposed to chemicals like pesticides and herbicides and insecticides and cleaning agents and toxins in their clothing and toxins in the air and toxins in their water and toxins in their mind and in their spirit. They don't have to do much more than hunt and take care of all the stuff that, well, they have to take care of. They don't farm, so there's a lot less activity, and yet they have more muscle mass and live longer than just about anybody on the planet. So you have to ask yourself, is it exercise or something else that correlates testosterone with health or longevity? Well, I think I answered that question earlier about sunlight and water and EMF and food and family and love and community. So what's the therapy and what's the disease? Well, your tissues are breaking down. You don't feel as good and you realize you aren't who you used to be. So now hear me out. Maybe your body lowers testosterone on purpose in order to keep you from hurting yourself. Maybe your body lowers testosterone to protect you because your tissues are not in good condition. So when you take care of yourself by eating good food and lowering your EMF exposure, and stop the things in your life that are poisoning you. Don't sit on the couch too much. Quit consuming bad water and be more romantic. Then your body will raise its testosterone. It regulates the hormone. You don't need patches or injections. The body's super smart. It knows what to do in all circumstances. We interfere. We stop the process. We change the outcome because it hurts or it's uncomfortable. I agree. It sucks. Pain hurts. But if you don't do the necessary things it takes to regulate itself, then you will suffer. Or if you take a hormone replacement, then you actually downregulate your production. That's not a good thing because that leads to all kinds of problems like feeding cancer, and man, that's just not a good thing. Your body has a strategy to heal itself. It's not a disease. It's inherent wisdom to heal. It's protecting itself. But why, Eric? Because you are not taking care of yourself. You're not living as you should. You don't need the testosterone, so you don't produce it. Simple. But we think it is low, and that is why I'm sickly. No, it's the opposite. If a young woman doesn't nourish herself, then she will lose her period. Why? Because she can't support a pregnancy. The body is smarter than we are. God placed checks and balances in us. So if we give the body what it needs, then it will right its wrongs, so to speak. It'll regulate your testosterone to be normal. If you consume food or are exposing yourself to high estrogen type stuff, then that will throw off the balance of your testosterone to estrogen ratio, basically rendering your testosterone too low. Did you know that ibuprofen, like Advil, Motrin, has been shown to cause hypogonadism in men? So if you want to be fertile, and don't use those when you're trying to have a baby. Fluoride. Well, that disrupts the entire endocrine system, and especially your pineal gland and your thyroid. So use something like sea kelp. That'll give yourself iodine in a biological form with other minerals, and that then replaces the fluoride with iodine. That's awesome. All kinds of soaps and chemicals that you use in your life, all those unnatural or commercial products you use on your body or anywhere around your house, these chemicals either mimic estrogen or they convert into estrogen. Listen to any of my episodes on toxins. I explain it all. Those of you listening on a video platform, just want to make a quick note. Not all my episodes are on this video platform you're watching. I have many more on the podcasting apps or my website, therealityofhealth.com. I'll convert more of those in the future to video. In the meantime, this is the best I got for you. One of the worst things you can consume is soy food of any kind. There is a small exception for fermented soy, but that should be limited. You got to watch out for things like soy protein isolate in those so-called health food bars. It's also hidden in commercial tuna in a can. Of course, you have soy milk and tofu and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Just stay away from it. You don't need it. It doesn't taste good, and it has so many anti-nutrients in it. It's just not worth it. If you consume grains, those can either lower your testosterone or actually increase estrogen. All has to do with insulin. Too much insulin, and you crush your testosterone and increase your estrogen. And no, that's not good for women either. If you have too high of an intake of sugar in a given consumption, like right away, like you drink a soft drink, or you had too much ice cream or too much candy, had a bunch of cookies or any of the desserts, you just ate too much of it. You know, fruit juice, that's not good. Except pomegranate juice, unsweetened. It's okay. Protein bars are full of sugar, so that can spike you right away. Even foods that have maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is the highest glucose and insulin spike. They use it as a fiber, and it's not. Just another way that companies secretly sabotage your health. When you see it on the label, run from that garbage. By the way, it's everywhere. It's in tons of foods. You have to read your labels. I know you've heard the ubiquitous term trans fats. Well, where do they come from? They mostly come from vegetable oil. And then, of course, anything cooked in it. The only plant oils you should use sparingly is organic coconut oil and avocado oil. And of course, I've said many times, avocado oil from only Chosen Foods brand. Don't buy anything else. All the other oils are just testosterone killers. They got too many PUFAs, those are polyunsaturated fatty acids, and those kill your entire body. You don't need any of them. The other way is you don't eat enough saturated fat from clean animal sources like grass-fed butter and beef and organic pastured eggs, raw dairy, pastured pork, which is totally awesome. Then, of course, you got to watch out for things like lavender essential oil. Yes, you heard me say that. You should only use that if you know what you're doing. You've heard flax seeds are good for you. Well, they're not. The lignans, well, they flip the ratio of testosterone to estrogen. Just stay away. Find your fiber if that's what you're looking for in other sources. If you need good fats, those come from animal sources. Alcohol? Yeah, I know. Sorry. We can talk about this one in a different episode if you want. Just let me know. But yes, alcohol will lower your testosterone. You got to watch out for poisons in your life. That's anything everywhere around you. If it isn't natural, don't use it. One of the biggest testosterone killers is stress. This is a huge topic. Way too much to get into in this episode, but I do have a stress episode if you want to listen to that. Poor sleep. Yes, of course I have a sleep episode because these are things that just affect your whole body. You don't get enough sleep, your testosterone will be low. That's a fact. And one of the 4 reasons that you can actually get sick in this life is malnutrition. You don't feed your body what it needs, how is it going to produce anything that it wants? You can't make a house out of nothing. The opposite effect can happen too. You eat the wrong things, like fake food, fast food and processed food. You end up replacing real nutrients with, well, nothing. So you become malnourished. You may have too much visceral fat. Yes, I do have a visceral fat episode as well. Well, that's because it's a huge topic. It's huge. Go listen to it. It's an awesome episode. Here's one that I think that is slightly controversial. Caffeine. There's some conflicting evidence. Remember, caffeine is a plant insecticide. It's meant to kill insects. So it might have an effect on your testosterone. Since they do have some studies, well, maybe it does. I'm not totally certain yet on that one. If you have a lack of sex, then you don't signal that pathway. Then the body says, I don't need it. And yes, you guessed it, I have a sex episode. I actually have 2 of them, episode 1 and 2. You can also overtrain. When you overtrain when you're working out, then you divert the good stimulus that you created into a repair mode. You have to repair instead of grow or get better. No, repair is not getting better. That's repairing, not growing. We'll do more of this in the future. Gotta talk about it, but marijuana. Again, yes, sorry for those that want to partake. Well, it downregulates your testosterone. It interrupts your endocrine system. It destroys your central nervous system, which is the information and electrical highway of your body. Just did, you guessed it, an episode 4 days ago. There are many more. These are just the most common ones we all deal with. If you do healthy things, then you will either have enough testosterone or you will have more than you need. If you have a health condition where you still can't make what you need, then find out why and look for how to change it naturally, not just do hormone replacement. Let your body determine what it wants instead of forcing it in, because forcing it in is just as bad. Okay, if you need an educational consult, I would love to help you. Please subscribe and follow and all the stuff you've heard a million times. It really does help all the creators. If you don't know how much goes into just a small episode or video, it's a lot of work. I didn't realize it until I started my own. I want to thank you for listening. I really appreciate all of you. Take care of yourselves.